Hi, I'm Drea, and thanks so much for joining me on Cooking at Vermilion Lane today. We are going to be making lamb and veal meatloaf. It's so incredibly moist, and on top is going to be a beautifully reduced tomato and balsamic vinegar reduction. It is so good. Let's get started. Let's start with 2 eggs here. And I happen to be using extra large eggs, but you really don't have to run out and get those. That just happens to be what my husband got this time around. And then sort of a secret ingredient to make sure that my meatloaf is incredibly moist and light. I'm actually going to put in 1.5 tablespoons up to 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise. Next goes in a heaping teaspoon of grated garlic. Then 1/2 cup of panko breadcrumbs, and these are pre-seasoned with Italian seasonings. So keep that in mind. If you happen to get a plain panko breadcrumb, then go ahead and add a few dried herbs in there if you like. Certainly not required. And you really want to go with fresh ground pepper and salt. We don't have a ton of ingredients. It's a really clean dish, so you want to make sure that they are high quality. Finally, one of my favorite parts is adding my fresh herbs. But for this particular dish, when it's summertime, I like to go with whatever I've gotten in abundance in my garden. And I happen to have quite a bit of lemon balm. Now, I'm going to put in about 1 tablespoon of chopped lemon balm, 1 tablespoon of parsley, and then 1 tablespoon of Thai basil. But that's just because it's what I had growing. So remember, when it comes to herbs in a dish like this, really go with what works. I happen to have lemon balm in my garden, as I mentioned. I had Thai basil that was just kind of going everywhere and nothing to put it in, so I decided to go ahead and pop it in this dish today. But keep in mind, you could use fresh oregano. Of course, the parsley is just kind of the easiest to grow and also the cheapest, so you want to add that in as well. But mint would be really lovely as a replacement for the lemon balm. Let's start with 2 eggs here, and I'm going to add just a little bit of pepper and salt to my meat. Okay, that's beautiful. And you can see the lamb here is the darker meat and then the veal lighter. Both have a really light texture and taste, and they just go so well together. I don't know why they're not put together in more dishes, quite frankly. You know what? I could do this as a meatball. How good would that be over rice? Check for that on Vermilion Lane because I will be trying it soon. Okay, so we've got this wet mixture that we're going to stir in. Or really, you know what? We're going to fold it in because we don't, again, want to beat up our meat. And just when we find it's mixed, we are going to stop. It smells so good. I love that garlic in this. There's just something about garlic and lamb. And wait until you see that balsamic reduction. So good with the chopped tomatoes inside. Oh my goodness. The only downside to this dish is it takes an hour to bake it, sometimes an hour and 10 minutes. Your whole kitchen is going to smell phenomenal, but you can't eat it until it's completely cooked through. That's really important using these particular ingredients. Okay, that's it. We don't want to overwork the meat. I've got this gorgeous antique anchor hocking loaf pan that belonged to my grandmother. And this is just my favorite dish to use. Give it a quick spray with olive oil. Just use your regular nonstick spray if you don't have the olive oil kind. And then we're just going to pour this all inside. Now we're going to work on our reduction while this is in the oven, baking away. And then the last 20 minutes, we're going to top our meatloaf with that amazing glaze. Happen to be using extra large eggs, but you really don't have to run. I gotta tell you, there are few things I like to make more than this balsamic reduction. It is that good. We start with really good balsamic vinegar. Pardon my messy cabinet. We're gonna have 2 cups of this lovely balsamic vinegar. So my 2 cups of balsamic vinegar goes into a cold pot. You don't want this to splash back up on you. And if you start with a hot pot, that can happen. Okay, so now for 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. Now I know that sounds like a lot of sugar and a lot of vinegar, but this is going to reduce down to make somewhat of a syrup. And it's going to be so lovely on top of our meatloaf. Goodbye, ketchup-coated meatloaf of the past. Finally, for our surprise ingredient, just sort of, I don't know, as a nod to the ketchup idea, I'm going to add chopped tomatoes. This is 1 large heirloom tomato, chopped up. And for this, I'm going to put my heat on medium to medium high. I'm going to really watch it, though. I'm not going to walk away from this. And I'm going to continue stirring until I see a few bubbles coming up. Then I'm going to turn down my heat source and allow this sauce to reduce just until it becomes a syrup. So this sauce is just coating the back of a spoon. That tells you that it's ready. It may take you 20 minutes, it may take you 45, but wait until you've got that consistency. So our tomatoes have cooked down and they are so syrupy sweet, but at the same time tart from our balsamic vinegar and brown sugar mixture. Back into the oven for 15 to 20 minutes, just until our glaze completely comes together. Out and get those. That just Thanks for watching, and go to vermilionlane.com for this recipe as well as lots more tips for holding down the homestead in style. Subscribe to my channel for a new video every week, as well as follow me at Vermilion Lane on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Google+, and Pinterest. Bye guys.